Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
All right, everybody, hello and welcome to another episode of Pets Add Life, the only place where you get me, Chris Bonifati, and those who yearn for the youthful Kristen Levine.
Aww. That's so sweet of you to say.
They yearn for you, Kristen. They're in my inbox.
I don't know about that.
We need the show twice a week, but Chris only once a week. That's what they're saying. It's everywhere.
Is that what you're hearing?
It's all over the place.
Yeah, but hey,
welcome to June.
June, yeah, I can't believe it.
Sheesh. I feel like we were just at Global Pet Expo. We were there like yesterday, and it was March.
That was March.
Yeah. And we're through the worst part of
time's
allergy
flying,
season. Chris. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But as time flies, we keep up with it. That's what we do here. You don't need to go onto the internet and look for all your awesome pet stories and news and all these products. We bring them right to you. We're serving up 2 stories, 2 products, 2 guests. We're going to answer 2 of your questions. It's never changing. It's a time-tested, what do we call it? Format? Time-tested template. Yeah. There we go. I nailed it. I landed the plane.
Oh, that's good. I was going to say we package it up for you once a week.
We package it up for you. We're the pet packaging people.
Professionals.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Maybe we should get to our stories.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's just cut to story time. Play the jingle around.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
All right, Chris, you want to?
Kristen, I want you to go
today?
First. I want you to go first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first, and you've got some really cool stuff to talk about.
I do. I'm kind of excited because it is June, and this marks the 9th annual Pet Anxiety Awareness Month. This is an event that I created back in 2017, all because I wanted to help educate pet parents about, recognizing the signs of fear, stress, and anxiety in their pets. So this year, something kind of new. I mean, Dog TV has always been a great sponsor for the month, but this year we have partnered with Dog TV's new Unleashed channel. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. And just recently, we recorded a show that is going to premiere on Friday, June 6th. It's a new series called The Experts. It's where I get to sit down with 4 of the brightest minds in pet care, veterinarians, trainers, all kinds of experts. And in this particular show that drops on Friday, we talk about pet anxiety. Specifically, we're focusing on canine anxiety for this show, and then we're going to do cats on another show. But I was joined by amazing, brilliant pet professionals like Dr. Lisa Radasta, Alex Sessa, who is from Peach on a Leash, which is a dog training company that she started, Victoria Stillwell, like celeb status, Victoria Stillwell from It's Me or the Dog, and Dr. Andy Rourke. So that is going to premiere Friday. Check it out on here. Now, here's where you watch it. It's on the new Unleashed channel, which is Dog TV, and it is on the Amazon Fire channel. It is free. And you can also check it out on YouTube. So, and then lastly, I just want to thank Reconcile, which is an FDA-approved drug for separation anxiety that you can talk to your vet about. Nationwide Pet Insurance, Doggy Hush, and PetMate for making all of this possible this year.
That sounds awesome. And you know that show is truly The Experts because I'm nowhere on it. I'm not on it, folks. That's how you know it's
you weren't
good
available.
Stuff there.
You weren't available because you were working your day job.
I wasn't available because I'm an idiot. That's what it is. They're like, no, this is a serious show. No, but it's going to be chock full of great information, folks. Truly, I mean, it's called The Experts because it is. So check it out. No.
What do you have for us today, Chris?
I've also got something to celebrate. Something close to me this month. As many of you know, June is kitten season. It is biologically. Right. If cats were to exist sort of in the wild still, this would be the time of the year that they're all having their kittens. So the American Humane Society names June Adopt a Cat Month. So while we will definitely be focusing in on animal anxiety and pet anxiety, I just want to call out, I've been talking a lot about rescues and cats and stuff like this. And this is, if you remember last episode, I messed it up because I had 2 stories prepared and I forgot when we're airing what. So this is now true information. We're in June for real, folks, okay? This is not May 27th. This is June 3rd. The shelters are going to be filling up because of the stray cats are going to be having their kittens. And I know it's not the only time of the year that kittens are born, but this is really when shelters start to fill up. So if you've been listening to Pets Add Life, been listening to Chris and Kristen, and you're like, I really think I want to get a cat, now's your time. You're going to be seeing a lot of shelters running specials where they're going to discount the adoption fees. A lot of shelters will be picking up sponsors, whether they're private, folks making big donations to cover fees, or corporate with organizations, maybe sending parents home with a gift basket with some of their products. If you have been waiting for your sign to pull the trigger, here's your sign, folks. Here it is. Chris telling you right now, it's Adopt a Cat Month. Check it out. I really think, in my opinion, there's no reason to get a cat from anywhere other than a shelter. And I understand people want to have a kitten. They want to see that animal grow. I get that, even though I've pretty much always adopted full-grown cats. That's just always been my choice. But now's your chance to find that kitten and get them a forever home. So be sure to check it out.
Yeah, great suggestion. I just realized I've never adopted a kitten either. I've always adopted adult cats, but I did foster kittens once, which was really fun. So that might be another option for those of you who maybe don't want to commit or maybe you're trying out being a cat parent, maybe do some fostering.
Yeah, fostering kittens is a tough job, though. It depends. It depends on the age, because there are parents, and these people are, godsends, who foster kittens that were fully abandoned by their parent. And a kitten, like a true newborn kitten, is about the same amount of work as a newborn human. Truly, It's the same amount of feeding, the same amount of attention, the same risk. I mean, these things are not like other mammals that are born and pretty much good to go. They are super vulnerable and will find ways to endanger themselves in incredible ways. So thank you to all of those surrogate fosters and anybody who fosters animals. You are doing very difficult and rewarding work.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
All right, join me in welcoming our guest, Jamie Simpson. She's an influential entrepreneur, dedicated disabilities advocate, and the founder of New Life Working Dogs. This is an organization committed to training highly skilled service and working dogs. A proud Cherokee First Nations native, Jamie leverages her extensive experience as a professional dog trainer and social media influencer to amplify awareness around epilepsy and other disabilities. Now, diagnosed with epilepsy herself, Jamie openly shares her personal journey online, helping to eliminate stigma and to provide critical insight into living a fulfilling life despite medical challenges. Jamie's service dogs Echo and Everest play essential roles in her health management, detecting and responding to medical emergencies. Now, she also leads Embrace Every Day, an organization aimed at connecting communities, providing vital support, and advocating for systemic improvements for disabled individuals. Jamie continues to inspire others with her authenticity, resilience, and advocacy through powerful storytelling and compassionate leadership. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
Well, you're wonderful. You're doing all of that. You sound very busy. I love it.
I am very busy. I also have 2 kids on the side.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, you've built obviously a very impressive platform as an influencer. What inspired you to share such a personal and vulnerable experience?
I think mostly the fact that no one really shares that side of disability, and dogs that help in that way, openly and vulnerably.
I think there's a lack of true authenticity on the internet nowadays, and I think your story is incredibly authentic, and your Australian Shepherd Echo is more than just a companion. He's there to help save your life regularly. So can you walk us through how Echo first started detecting your seizures, sort of what his role is in your day-to-day life, and how it just really improves your, the quality of life that you get to enjoy?
Wow, a lot of questions there. Echo, Echo is wonderful. I first got him with the intentions of just meeting his needs. I know that Australian Shepherds, they're energetic and they need to stay busy, but they don't always want to work in a way that helps people. They sometimes like to herd and do other things. And I was perfectly fine and prepared to meet his needs. However, I started noticing that he was very interested in scents. And actually, I was in a car accident and I didn't realize I had such severe epilepsy until after I already had Echo. And when that epilepsy started getting worse, Echo picked up on it pretty fast.
Wow.
And I started noticing some differences in body language, and I think more so in my family because I'm unresponsive when I'm having epileptic seizures. But I did notice when I was coming out of it, and to preface, when you're coming out of an epileptic seizure, you kind of almost get your senses one by one. So I was not completely there, but I did notice that Echo was always right by my side, and he was always helping in the best way he could. And so I kind of shaped him bringing me random stuff and him sitting right next to me to, okay, he understands this scent. How can we add behaviors to this that helps me and teach him to love what he does automatically? And so that's kind of where that came from.
Wow.
But as you can tell from our videos, we've created such a great bond aside from that has just really connected the both of us.
Yeah. And what's so interesting is if I'm understanding this correctly, Echo was not trained to detect your epileptic seizures, right?
At first he wasn't. And then we did put him in training, and I also worked with him. I worked with my mentors more than anything. And I asked a lot of questions because I do know that Australian Shepherds aren't your average service dog.
Right.
So, yes.
That's true. I wanted to ask you to talk to us more about your organization, Embrace Every Day. So you're advocating for disability awareness and service dog support. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So Embrace Every Day really came from the fact that I felt vulnerable myself, not necessarily having someone that I could look up to for seizures specifically, because seizures are a little bit of an embarrassing thing for some people to show online. But passing out, and I also have POTS and I have vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and there's just so many disabilities that I found that aren't spoken for, more so than what I just carry. There's many. And when I started seeing other people share their stories to me personally, my inboxes were full of just a plethora of people sharing their stories. I was like, okay, we need to advocate for some of these people because I have never heard of many of these diagnoses, and they're very serious, and people do need to be heard. And so Embrace Every Day was just really started because I wanted to give a voice to people who didn't feel like they had a platform to speak on. And so we also have Embrace a Friend, so where we connect two people with similar disabilities, similar places, and there's been a lot of friendships and support built through that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, one thing, my day job is organizing a major trade show, Global Pet Expo, and it's a challenge for an organizer to consider the abilities of all of the show attendees, and us creating things like almost like sensory deprivation rooms, like quiet rooms and nursing mother rooms, and making sure that there's wheelchair access everywhere. That I've been doing the job for 10 years. 10 years ago, that really wasn't something that we considered or talked about. And now it's ingrained into part of our plan. So organizations like your Embrace Every Day, it's working because we're hearing it and we're saying, wow, this is something we need to consider for the work that we're doing. So huge kudos to you. But my big question in this is one that I guess I really got to ask, balancing motherhood with all of this stuff. I could only imagine, I mean, becoming a parent is stressful enough, but how do you navigate these daily challenges of parenting as well as your own health and having the dogs and this growing family? How do you keep those plates spinning?
I'm not going to lie to you. It's very challenging. With very specific routine and working like a well-oiled machine, you can get it done, but it is definitely hard. And you have to make sure you meet everyone's needs in the house, because if you don't, then your routine is thrown off in itself. My one daughter, my oldest daughter, just turned 3, and then I have a 9-month-old. So They have very big needs and high maintenance at the moment because they're little. And then you have dogs that have needs just the same as a toddler. So,
Yep.
So we are working with almost 4 children, basically.
Yeah.
And a husband who is basically an extra additional child too.
You got 5 kids in the
so
household.
I have 5. But yes, it's challenging. I don't really know how to say how besides routine.
Wow, I'm envisioning a reality show for you, Jamie, with all that you're managing.
It would be so entertaining, I promise.
I know, I can see it now. So beyond your obviously your family life, managing all of that, and the advocacy work that you do, you're also really involved in disability rights. So what's the most critical change that you would like to see in how our society interacts with and supports people with disabilities?
I think educating themselves, humbling yourself to a point where you realize there will be no point where you know everything. And if I was 70 years old and I did this my entire life, at 70, I'd probably still say, I don't know nearly enough. And I think that establishments at times, and even schools, work, they might figure that they know enough about disabilities, and education is so important because you just don't know what people's needs might be.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think having that open-minded approach and never really resting on your laurels, like understanding like things change too. I mean, what we are capable of diagnosing, what we're putting names to, is ever evolving, and it's important to stay on top of that kind of thing, especially if you have any type of public-facing job. If you're in service or I guess dealing with the public, these are important things to stay on top of.
Right.
Jamie, I want to go back to Echo, and Kristen had asked that question about him sort of not having that training before. So you have experience training a service dog who he clearly had a natural knack for this, but you had to get him to the point where he was really capable of doing a job. I'm sure we have a lot of listeners who may be considering training their dog for service. So do you have any tips or tricks or best practices, misunderstandings, anything like that for training your dog and getting them to the point where they could do a job?
Yeah, I actually grew up in dog training. I have a lot of extended family who trains dogs. So dogs for me is natural, and it's not for everybody. And I think the biggest misconception that I see, because I train service dogs on a day-to-day basis, that really is kind of my full-time job along with advocating for disabilities, is that once you prepare a dog mentally for the outdoor world and their basic obedience, and they feel confident and comfortable, the task training is actually the easy part, because that's the fun stuff for the dog. Whereas I think sometimes people might get so caught up in, my dog needs to be able to sniff this out. Dogs love sniffing. They're way better at smelling than we are. That's the easy stuff for them. Comforting you, that's natural for them a lot of the time. But more so than anything, it's meeting their needs and them loving to do the basics. That really needs some emphasis.
Yeah, that's great advice. Jamie, before we let you go, I'd like to ask you, and this is kind of getting back to what we were just talking about with the need for education. If someone following you, or maybe they're listening to this podcast and they've been inspired to share their own experience or journey with their disability, what advice would you give them to help them feel more comfortable sharing, the vulnerable parts of themselves?
There will always be a moment when you're showing an active medical episode that you will second guess it. But the easiest thing that helped me be able to share continuously is knowing that there's somebody out there who's going through the same thing and they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it, and they're scared and alone right now. And you could be that person to help them.
Yeah, that's really inspirational stuff, Jamie. Thank you so much for taking the time today to join us. Where can all of our beautiful followers and listeners find you on social or the internet?
Instagram, TikTok, our website at embraceeveryday.com, and our socials are called Embracing Echo.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I'll be following your story closely.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you so much, guys.
Wow, she's really inspiring, with her ability to share her vulnerability. And I'm not surprised she has such a strong following.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to be honest on the internet about all the parts of you. I've been dishonest with everybody listening to this. You guys don't know anything about me. You think you do? You think you do because I talk about my cat? You don't know anything about me. So to go out there on the internet and share those truly vulnerable parts, it's tough because I'm sure there's a lot of backlash and hate messages and a bunch of creeps out there, right? So really, really proud of Jamie for putting her best foot forward, because it's like she said right at the end of the interview, you could be that person who really helps somebody who needs it. So that's using social media for good. And we are joined now by the lovely Julie Castle, the CEO of Best Friends Animal Society, a leading national animal welfare organization dedicated to ending the killing of dogs and cats in shelters across the U.S. After graduating magna cum laude from Southern Utah University, Julie was headed to law school when a visit to Best Friends Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah, inspired her to change course. Starting as the 17th employee, she took on various roles from animal caregiver to tour guide, eventually rising to CEO in 2018. Under her leadership, Best Friends has expanded its reach, forming partnerships with over 2,200 organizations nationwide and spearheading initiatives to promote pet adoption and community involvement. Julie is recognized for her innovative approach to animal welfare and her commitment to creating a no-kill nation. Julie, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Of course, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I want to jump right into it and say you made a very brave choice early on in your life. You were headed to law school and then decided, nope. So can you share a bit about how that initial visit to the sanctuary just kind of made you change gears?
Oh, it was, it was one of those moments in your life where I think it's a good lesson to be open to whatever the universe throws at you. And this was a massive curveball by the universe. And I was heading back from a trip to Mexico with my friends. And one of my friends really wanted to stop at this sanctuary in southern Utah. And of course, we were thinking, we've got to get back. We're headed to graduate school. And we pull into this magnificent Red Rock Canyon in southern Utah, wedged between Zion National Park and the Grand Canyon. And in any other state, it would have been a national park. And we took a tour with one of the founders and had lunch with the rest of them. And they shared their philosophy about no kill. And I'd never heard of it before. And of course, the only experience I'd had in a shelter was the typical vision out by a city dump, cinder block building, corrugated metal roof. I walk in to adopt a cat, and there's this cowboy sitting at the desk reading a newspaper with his feet up on the table. And I asked him, "Hey, where are all the animals?" And he said, "Well, we took care of them this morning." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he said, "Well, we every morning we collect them all and take them in the back and put them in a barrel and hook them up to the exhaust pipe of a truck." And I could not believe what I heard. And so that was the image that I had a couple of years before I visited the sanctuary. And I was so taken by the founder's vision and this idea of no kill. And it really captivated my imagination. Like, this is something that, as the wealthiest country in the world, we can do. And so we pulled out of the sanctuary, and I stopped at a gas station, put a couple of quarters in the payphone, and I called my dad and I said, "I'm not going to law school." So there was this long pregnant pause, and he was not a happy guy, but I basically never left. I became employee 17 and have done virtually every job in the entire organization. And what a great choice I made.
Yes, you sure did. That's a great story.
That's what the universe dealt me that day.
Well, as Chris mentioned in the intro, Best Friends has grown significantly under your leadership with the 2,200 partnerships. What have you found have been the most effective strategies and as you build that network of shelters and partners?
I think the biggest moment for us was, here we'd had this vision of creating a no-kill nation, a time when we don't have to kill animals in our local shelters simply because they don't have a home. But the missing piece for us was, we really needed to just declare it publicly and say we're going to do it by this date. And so in 2016, we put our stake in the ground to say we're going to end the killing in this country by the end of 2025. And what we then had to quickly get to work on was nobody in our field or anywhere else knew even how many shelters there were in this country. If you can believe that, in that time, in that year of 2016, with so much technology and knowledge, we didn't know how many shelters there were, let alone how many animals were dying. And so for us, we decided the most important thing was to get our hands on the data. What are we really dealing with here? How many animals are dying? Where are they dying? In what shelters? And so we went about county by county all over the country to round up this data. And then from there, we could build a strategy on, okay, we now know that the top 5 states in the country that are killing the most animals are California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Let's focus the bulk of our efforts on those states. Those are the kind of decisions that the really acquiring this data really allowed for us. And from there, we got more and more refined as we got more sophisticated with this. And it's proven to be very attractive for our partners too, because they didn't have that knowledge either. And so we really have leaned on that data to drive our decisions and to pull in strategic partners along the way to save lives.
Yeah, that's incredible, the amount of reach you all have. I said in the intro, community involvement is a huge cornerstone of Best Friends' mission. But what does that mean? What's that mean for an animal shelter to engage their community?
It's such a great question. And I think it feels like a no-brainer, I think, to most people. But when you think about the shelter system in this country, it was created 150 years ago,
Yeah.
and it virtually did not change. for decade after decade, until really the founders started Best Friends, and they asked a simple question, which was, wait a second, why are we killing our best friends rather than trying to save them? And so, really, that if you look at it from that lens and you say, okay, how do we help these shelters? Well, you fast forward to today and you look at the team that we have and the volunteers and the advocacy members we have all over the country. The biggest thing is going into these shelters and really thinking about them more as a retail location. And so a lot of these places that we were walking into, their hours of operation were like 10 a.m. to 2, and not thinking about, most people have jobs. They can't just slip away during the day to pop down to the shelter. And oh, by the way, how about opening on the weekends? And what about marketing yourselves to the public? Those were all really, really um, basic techniques and tactics to engage and involve a local community in helping save lives. And that to me was, it wasn't a shocker, but it was really pervasive when we started our work, that a lot of the people in communities didn't even know these shelters existed, and didn't know down the street a couple of blocks, thousands of animals were dying right under their noses. And once the community knew that, the engagement just really happens organically.
So, Julie, I know that Dog TV recently had the opportunity to film at Best Friends for the new adoption show, and that was such an honor. And the crew and Amber really enjoyed doing that. And I think if it's okay, we're going to play a little clip of it here. This is for the Dog TV Unleashed channel. So let's take a quick look.
Hi, I'm Amber Akar, and we are here at Best Friends Animal Society's Life Saving Center in Soho, New York City. We're here to learn more about the impactful efforts that they put into rescuing and rehoming animals. So we're gonna go chat with Marlon Roberts, the executive director, to go learn more about their mission and how they save animals every single day. Let's go. Hey Marlon, how are you?
How's it going?
Thanks for having me. I'm this close to bringing home a kitten, but can you tell us more about Best Friends' mission, nationwide, and all the things they're doing to help rehome and rescue animals?
Best Friends Animal Society was founded in 1984 and has pioneered the movement to end the killing of dogs and cats in America's shelters, lowering that number from around 17 million to down to about 415,000.
Wow.
Best Friends Animal Society is leading the way to end the killing of dogs and cats in America's shelters, and we want to bring about a time when there's no more homeless pets.
So here is the executive director. Are there any ways that you partner with your community, with local shelters here that help rescue animals, and you involve the community here locally?
Best Friends in New York City, we offer so many opportunities to get involved with the community. Us personally, we work with our local municipal shelter, Animal Care Centers of New York City. We work with them to host local events to really get the community engaged. And in addition to that, we offer opportunities to foster, to volunteer, to collaborate with other shelters. And that's all in the sake of really ending the killing of dogs and cats in America's shelters.
Yeah. How come I didn't get that assignment?
We should hire that guy. He did a good
Seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, right. So look. By the way, that's going to be on the new adoption show on Dog TV's Unleashed channel on Amazon Fire and on YouTube. So look forward to that. Looking ahead, Julie, what are your primary goals for Best Friends in the next, say, 5 years?
I think that when we set out to create a no-kill nation and do it by the end of 2025, we know that there are going to be shelters that still haven't achieved that no-kill status. And so our primary goal is to finish the job. And the way that we look at this is, look, there are a lot of causes out there, a lot of great causes, a lot of great charities, but a lot of them don't have a solution or a cure. But we know exactly how to do this. We have the solution. We have the cure to ending the killing of shelter pets in America. And I think about it in terms of this is a golden opportunity for us as a nation, for us as human beings to say, we need to do right by our best friends and our dog and cat friends that ended up in this situation in a shelter by no fault of their own. And it's our charge and duty to finish the job. And so for us, it really is about, the December 31st, 2025 doesn't just come and go. For us, it means we still get up in the morning, and what we're thinking about and what the most important thing for us is to solve this forever and sort of create that situation where we really are changing society.
Yeah.
And that is what a blessing and an honor to have that kind of responsibility.
So, Julie, before we let you go, if any of our wonderful listeners want to either learn more or find ways to contribute, where can they go?
So I would say the best thing that you can do is pop onto our website. It's bestfriends.org. You can go on our pet life-saving dashboard and look up the status of where your community is at, because we have every shelter in the country on that dashboard, and you can look to see where they need help. If every shelter needs volunteers, every shelter needs foster homes, every shelter needs donations. And so I would say start with our website, go from there. Everybody can open their home or their bathroom for a couple of weeks to some kittens that you're actually going to be saving their lives by giving a shelter the opportunity to take a breath and not have these kittens in their care. And there's so many ways that you can get involved, but fostering is a huge way, volunteering and donating.
Great advice, Julie. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I hope to get out to the Best Friends facility myself one of these days. I would love to have a tour like you had back in the day. I'd love to check it out because I've never actually gotten to see it in person. So thanks so much for joining us this week, and keep up the great work.
Hey, thank you. And it was, again, an honor to be here. And we'll have you at the sanctuary anytime. It'll change your life. So open
Awesome.
Invitation from me.
Looking forward to it.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right. Well, listen, it was great having Julie on, and I can't wait to check out the adoption show on Dog TV on the Unleashed channel. Yeah, it looks really exciting. It's always a pleasure to see Amber Eckhart do what she does best. I mean, it might have been better if it was Kristen Levine, but I'm not here to play favorites. I'm not here to play favorites.
Maybe we'll do a second episode, and maybe I'll throw my hat in the ring to do that gig.
I mean, you're an OG shelter gal. You really are. I mean, like that's where you cut your teeth. So listen, Ron, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, man?
No, Amber does a great job, and I can't wait to see the show.
Yep.
The product of the week.
All right, Kristen, it's time for the product of the week. And to go with my little cat theme I got going on today.
Yeah.
We've been changing over some furniture in our home because we just had such a hodgepodge of what was a relatives and what we bought for our old place and what we bought here, and it's like, okay, it's time to get everything matching under one aesthetic.
Grown up furniture?
Yeah, no, maybe. I don't know what grown up furniture is. Does that mean it was expensive? Because it's definitely not expensive. I'll tell you that much. Well,
if it's matching, if it looks more cohesive now, then yeah, I think that's grown up.
Sure.
Or you're adulting with your decor.
I got to be adulting somewhere, so maybe the furniture will do it. Well, so we've been looking for cat stuff that sort of matches the aesthetic, and I found these on Chewy, and link in the show notes as always. And this is from a company called Frisco. And it's this really aesthetically pleasing scratching post and ball. So it's like it's triangles and then just like this big scratching ball that your cat can just kind of go crazy on. It's got like a rattan design side too, but that's also scratchable by the cat. And it's got like very natural wood, neutral tones, sort of like every I don't know, 30-year-old's dream nowadays. So I'm not sure on the actual quality of the toy. Tiger doesn't really demand much. She's not really scratching much anyway, but she does like to have something to rub against and pull on. So we decided to go with this. And, you know, if you're looking for some attractive furniture, I checked out their site. They have all sorts of stuff that just sort of looks better than, you know, those cat towers that kind of look like, you know, grandma's retirement home, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like the really like weird colored carpeting that's on there. So, you know, there's options out there, folks. There's options.
All right. That's a good one. My product this week has to do with Pet Anxiety Awareness Month. One of our partners is a company called Doggy Hush, and check this out. Okay, if you're watching us on YouTube or social, you can see this. If you're not, you need to go check this out because it's so cool. The company's called Doggy Hush, and these are like noise canceling headphones for a dog.
That's awesome.
And they're so cool. They're really well made too.
Yeah.
Especially designed ear covering that helps reduce the impact of loud noises. So whether it's fireworks or thunderstorms or construction. And this is obviously ideal for dogs that have noise phobia. And it muffles the sounds and kind of gives them a calming effect without the use of medication. I'm not saying it would work for every dog, but I think it's, you know, a great new innovation. I've seen so many different products for, you know, noise phobias, and this one's really cool. They also make, not this company, but there's another company that makes like a band that goes over their ears, but this would be so much more comfortable.
Yeah, that looks comfy. It kind of looks like really Madonna's bra.
Well, it
kind of does like,
but they do. They come in all different sizes, and you can check them out.
Yeah, because the ones you held up look pretty big, and I was like, what if you have a tiny guy? So yeah, they have the smaller ones. 4
or 5 sizes, and doggyhush.com is where you can learn more and get a pair. And they're I don't remember the price, but I remember thinking, oh, that's pretty reasonable. So check out Doggy Hush.
Yeah, clever idea. Very clever. Well done, Doggy Hush.
Q&As.
All right, folks, we have arrived. We are here at our favorite part of the show. That's right. We're going to answer 2 of your burning questions, dear listener. And I know what you're thinking. How do I get my question answered by Chris and Kristen? Well, the answer's a lot simpler than you might think. You're going to head on over to petsadlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of that page. You're going to see the form to submit. Or if you're feeling as brave as our guest, Jamie, sharing her story, you can share your question with us. Take that step forward. Take the risk, people. And you might hear your question played live on these airwaves. So let's go ahead and get into it. Kristen, I heard you got a question for me.
Yeah, I do. This one comes from Emily S. in Portland. Emily says, is it safe for my indoor cat to explore the backyard? I'm concerned about potential risks.
Yeah, this is like one of those where I need a lot more info. A, how long has your cat been an indoor cat? B, what's that backyard like? Portland, it could be anything. You know, do you have a fence? How energetic is your cat? How capable is your cat of getting over barriers? My immediate answer with no further information is no. Cat's instincts can be dulled really, really quickly. Tiger used to be an outdoor cat and would spend days outside, come back for meals, you know, just every couple days. Now we can pretty much leave our back door open and she won't go out there. She knows it's not safe. She doesn't really care. So my advice is let's take this in baby steps. Maybe a catio might be a good solution. Maybe a little harness and leash action, because cats can be unpredictable with their behavior. And unless you are a star athlete, if that cat decides to bolt, you're not catching it. Decides to jump over a fence and take off. There's no way. So maybe start harnessed and leash with a couple of walks and see how they react to things. You definitely want to keep this to an enclosed thing, and don't underestimate what your cat can get out of. If they want to be somewhere, they're going to find a way. They're geniuses. They are escape artists. Each one's a little Houdini. So I would take this in baby steps, and especially if maybe this is a case where you move from an apartment to a house and now you have a backyard. And I don't think this is just like let the back door open and let them go. This would be a transitional type process to get them where they're comfortable. And then if your cat was raised indoors, never let them out at night when there's raccoons and other nighttime animals to contend with that are going to be nasty. Your cat was not raised in the streets, does not know how to throw hands, does not know how to fight, and will get bullied.
Hands.
So throw hands. Yeah,
does that mean fight?
Yeah, that's very New York. My New Yorker is showing.
Okay.
Your cat is not prepared for it. So just caution is what I recommend.
Excellent advice. All right. Do you have a question for me, Chris?
Obviously. This fits in very well with the theme we got going on today for you, Kristen. And
okay. All right.
This is a great question from Michael T, who normally people put the city they're from. He just put Long Island, which is the most Long Island thing to do. So Michael from Long Island asks, my dog gets anxious when hearing the construction noises, because it's Long Island, from next door's house. Also, this is such a Long Island thing. The neighbor's probably doing the construction on their own too, without a contractor.
No permits.
What are some, or permits, What are some effective ways to calm him down?
Oh, okay. So, hey, Michael T from Long Island. I wonder if you know my husband, Paul Levine. He's from Long Island.
Probably
anyway, probably do. So, if your neighbor's doing construction, this is probably a new sound for your dog. So I'm not terribly surprised that he's, getting freaked out or anxious. What I would say is create like a little Zen zone for him where he can go when the noise starts. And now this could be a bedroom that's maybe on the other side of the house from where the construction is. It could be a crate if your dog has a crate. It could be a bathroom. It could be wherever your dog is going to feel most comfortable, and just make it super comfy. Put his favorite blanket in there, some toys, maybe put dog TV on in the background or play some calming music. Anything to kind of drown out that noise. So, a place where he can go to chill when those noises are happening. And it just so happens, and this was not planned, but these doggy hush ears, this might be something to try. I mentioned that was my product of the week. What else? If you notice that his anxiety is escalating to where maybe he's trying to escape, or if the symptoms get any more than just you can tell he's nervous, I would definitely talk to your veterinarian, because there are medications. There are also some supplements that veterinarians approve that might help him relax. And hopefully the construction will wrap up soon, and you won't have this problem anymore. But I think it's great to have some of those tools on hand to make him more comfortable.
Kristen, it's Long Island. That construction is never ending. That's going to be, by the time that neighbor's done, the other neighbor is going to start.
Yeah, because they're going to want to keep up with the Joneses, and now they want to. Yeah,
that's how it is over there. Best of luck to you, Michael. Best of luck. You picked a great episode to ask that question. Hope you're listening. But hey, listen, that does it for this week's Pet Sad Life. Don't worry. Hey, we're going to be back next Tuesday. We're always back. We're never quitting for you guys. It's the beginning of Pet Anxiety Awareness Month, which is a big deal for Kristen. This is huge. This is our favorite month, June. So we're gonna be having some really amazing guests. Kristen's got all sorts of products lined up this month. Chris is just gonna be trying his best. He's just gonna be trying his best. You talk about keeping up with the Joneses. I'm just trying to retain my role as co-host of this show.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, Kristen's doing laps around me. Listen,
whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, now you're a cool teenager. Yeah. Whatever. I hope everybody out there is going to be enjoying their June. It's the start of summer vacation. All those kids out there, enjoy those summers off. Some of us got to work all summer like us. So we'll be back here next Tuesday. Until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to your pets. And Kristen?
Boops, woofs, and meows till next week.
Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonafati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.